So picture a quiet morning. You're in your kitchen um, making coffee, and your senior West Highland White Terrier is just waking up in her familiar bed.
Right, getting the day started.
Exactly. She hears the clinking of the mugs, and, obviously she clearly wants to be part of the action. But getting up just takes a little longer than it used to.
Yeah, you see that stiffness.
Yeah, and the first few steps across that smooth kitchen floor are just really careful, like deliberate. It's not that confident, energetic little march she used to have.
Right.
And she gets to the back door, and there's an actual pause before she takes that step outside, which is, a step that a few years ago required absolutely zero thought.
But then the moment she gets outside to her favorite hedge, her nose goes right down to the grass.
Oh, for sure.
She catches some scent or movement, and for just a split second, she is that same intense, determined terrier she's always been.
Yeah, the drive is completely there.
Exactly. The spirit is completely intact. It's just that the physical body is simply asking for a bit more time, a little more traction, and maybe a slightly shorter route.
And that split second is really what we're holding on to today in this deep dive, because caring for a senior Westie isn't about figuring out how to, remove an aging dog from the life she loves.
No, not at all. Yeah.
It's about learning how to adapt your home, your routine, and honestly, your own expectations so she can keep participating comfortably.
We're really looking at preserving her curiosity, her independence, and that core connection to you through just thoughtful, everyday adjustments.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this because before we can start adapting her life, we have to know when to start making these changes.
Yeah, which is a huge hurdle for a lot of people.
It is,
Yeah.
because it means confronting our own assumptions about aging. I mean, is there a magic birthday? Like, the clock strikes midnight on her 10th birthday, and suddenly, boom, she's officially a senior.
Well, I mean, there really is no magic birthday. When your dog becomes a senior, depends entirely on her genetics, her health history, and just her individual biology.
So it's totally different for every dog.
Totally. And what's fascinating here is that we often wait for this arbitrary age to start thinking about senior care, when instead, we should be looking for subtle behavioral patterns of change.
Right, because there's a massive danger in just watching your dog gradually slow down and filing that under, oh, she's just getting old.
Yes, dismissing it entirely as inevitable is a huge mistake.
Because dismissing it means you might be ignoring something that's actually fixable, or at least, highly manageable. Especially with this breed. I mean, terriers are highly determined animals.
Oh, incredibly determined.
They will push through incredible amounts of discomfort just to be near you. It really sounds like a terrier is basically a professional athlete playing through an injury.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Like they want to be on the field so badly that they'll just hide the pain until they literally can't take another step.
Yeah, that athlete mentality is just hardwired right into their DNA. Terriers are bred to be tenacious and stoic.
Right.
So a senior Westie is rarely going to whine or cry out or complain at the very first sign of joint pain. Her survival instinct just tells her to mask any vulnerability.
So what do we actually look for then?
Well, instead of crying, she's going to show you she's hurting through really quiet behavioral shifts. You want to watch for hesitation before she goes down the stairs, or maybe a sudden reluctance to jump onto the couch.
Which they used to do all the time.
Right. Or difficulty rising after a long nap. You might notice a shortened, choppy stride when she walks, or nighttime restlessness, or even just a general withdrawal from family activities.
And it is so easy to mistake that withdrawal for simple tiredness. You just think, oh, she's had a long day. She's sleeping in the other room to get some peace and quiet.
Exactly. We project human motivations onto them.
Yeah. But actually, she might be isolating herself because moving her hips to follow you from room to room simply hurts too much.
Right. So the question you have to ask yourself isn't just, is my dog slower? It's, is my dog moving with less quality?
Oh, quality of movement. That's good.
Yeah. Like, is she actively avoiding certain physical challenges? Does she seem stiff or uncomfortable?
And if she is.
If she is, that requires veterinary intervention, not just buying her a thicker dog bed and
Right.
hoping for the best.
Right. So if we recognize that our dog is silently dealing with these physical changes, the immediate next step is modifying the physical world she moves through every day.
Absolutely.
And that starts with exercise, which the prevailing wisdom in our sources here is crucial. They say, do not stop exercising them.
Please do not stop.
But wait, if my dog is visibly stiff and dealing with joint pain, aren't I just torturing her by forcing her to walk? Like, shouldn't she just be resting on the couch all day?
I get this all the time. It's a completely natural assumption to make because we generally equate rest with healing.
Right, if my knee hurts, I sit down.
Exactly. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of biomechanics, muscle loss is actually the greatest enemy of joint stability.
Wait, really? Muscle
Yeah.
loss?
When a dog stops moving, the muscles rapidly atrophy. They shrink and weaken. And those muscles act like biological shock absorbers for the joints.
Oh, wow. So without them?
Without them, when those shock absorbers thin out, every single step puts more raw bone-on-bone impact on an arthritic joint.
Ouch.
Right. That impact causes severe pain, which then causes the dog to move even less, which causes even more muscle loss. It's this vicious cycle that just accelerates their decline.
So the goal has to be adaptation, not elimination.
Exactly. Adaptation in practice means changing the routine, not ending it completely.
So what does that look like?
It means shorter walks, but taking them more frequently. Like instead of one massive 3-mile hike on a Saturday
Yeah.
that leaves her incredibly sore for 2 days, it's take 3 short, gentle walks. You incorporate lots of sniffing time. Sniffing is highly enriching for a dog's brain. It processes immense amounts of data, and it tires them out without sending those impact shockwaves through their joints.
That makes total sense.
And you can do simple search games like hiding treats in the grass. Also, warm-ups matter so much more now.
Oh, like stretching?
Sort of. You just want to ease into any activity to get the synovial fluid moving in her joints before you let her pick up the pace at all.
Got it. So we're saying goodbye to the steep stairs, the rough housing, and those sharp turns chasing frisbees.
Definitely.
And that same biomechanical philosophy has to apply inside the home too, because those slick hardwood or tile floors you love, they are basically ice rinks for a senior dog.
Oh, they are a nightmare. The micromechanics of slipping on hardwood are just exhausting for an older dog.
I can imagine.
Because on a slick floor, a dog with weakened muscles has to constantly micro-grip with their toe pads just to stay standing. Their legs are perpetually splaying outward.
Like Bambi on ice.
Exactly. And they have to use constant inner thigh strength to pull them back in. It creates chronic muscle tension and fatigue.
Just from standing there.
Just from standing. But by simply putting down secure runners with grippy bottoms along her main traffic routes, like the path from her bed to the water bowl or down the hallway to the back door, you instantly relieve that muscular tension.
You essentially give her back her confidence.
You really do.
And then there's the furniture. Because Westies are small, jumping up onto your bed or the couch is a pretty significant vertical leap.
It's a huge leap for them.
Right, and if they've done it for 10 years, they're going to keep trying to make that leap, even if they're landing hard on arthritic shoulders.
And that's where stable steps or ramps come into play. And this is key, you can't just buy a generic ramp on Amazon and assume the problem is solved.
Because they might not use it.
Right, you have to test the angle. If a ramp is too steep, it's basically just a slide. And a dog with weak hind legs will completely refuse to use it.
That makes sense.
You also have to check the traction and the width. If the ramp wobbles even a fraction of an inch, or if she slips even once, she won't trust it. She'll just go right back to trying to jump.
Honestly, sometimes I think the better solution is just creating a really comfortable floor-level spot for them so they don't even feel the psychological need to make that climb.
Yes.
Like, just put a deeply supportive orthopedic bed right next to the couch so she's still near you, but grounded.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
And regarding those beds, they really do need to be highly supportive. Orthopedic foam provides pushback against their joints, which is great.
Right.
But the bed shouldn't be so soft, deep, or fluffy that the dog sinks in like a marshmallow.
Because then they can't get out.
Exactly. If they sink, they have to struggle, use their core, and just thrash their legs around to stand back up, which defeats the whole purpose.
Okay, so we've modified the floors, we've adapted the walks, we've got the beds sorted out, but the external environment is really only half the battle.
It is.
We have to look at the hidden internal changes, the physical maintenance that we might be completely taking for granted, and nutrition is a massive one.
Oh, huge.
Because there's this pervasive myth that all senior dogs automatically need drastically less food, or that they have to switch to a super low-protein diet just because they're old.
Yeah, that is not a universal rule at all. And applying it blindly can be really detrimental. Senior dogs' dietary needs depend entirely on her individual activity level, her metabolic rate, and specific organ function, like her kidneys.
Right.
This is why hands-on body condition checks are so incredibly vital, especially with a Westie, because that dense, wiry white coat hides a multitude of sins.
It really does hide everything.
You cannot just look at her from across the room and know if she's losing healthy tissue. You have to literally get your hands under the coat, feeling over her shoulders, her ribs, and her hindquarters to check her actual muscle mass.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because in the sources, there's this concept called the weight illusion.
Yes, the weight illusion.
It's this idea that a perfectly stable number on the vet's scale can actually mask a dangerous physical decline.
That's exactly right.
I like to think of it like a bank account. Like, if your total balance stays exactly the same month after month, you assume your finances are fine.
Sure.
But if you're secretly losing your steady, reliable income, which represents the heavy, functional muscle,
Right.
and you're keeping the balance up by taking out high-interest credit card debt, which represents the lighter, non-functional fat, you're actually headed for a crisis.
That's a brilliant analogy.
Right.
Right.
The total number at the bottom of the statement is stable, but the quality of what makes up that number has completely deteriorated.
Exactly. Because biologically, muscle is much denser and heavier than fat.
Hmm.
And it burns more calories just to exist.
Okay.
So as a dog ages, hormonal shifts and reduced high-impact exercise can cause that heavy, active muscle tissue to melt away. At the same time, her metabolism slows down, so she converts more of her food into lighter, fluffier fat.
So the scale doesn't change.
Right. The scale might say she weighs exactly 17 pounds, just like she did 3 years ago. But her body composition has entirely shifted.
Wow.
She has lost the physical strength required to support her joints and replaced it with dead weight she now has to carry around. So feeling her muscle tone tells you the truth that the scale hides.
That is so important. And another hidden issue that gets completely overlooked is dental care. I think it's really common to just assume, well, she's still eagerly eating her kibble every morning, so her teeth must be fine.
Right, but the canine survival drive to eat is incredibly powerful. A dog will literally continue to crunch dry kibble even with an actively abscessed tooth or severe periodontal disease.
That is horrifying.
It is. Eating does not equate to being pain-free. You really have to watch for the subtle behavioral workarounds.
Like what?
Like, is she suddenly chewing only on the left side of her mouth? Is she dropping unchewed pieces of food onto the floor?
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah. Or is she avoiding the hard nylabone she used to chew for hours? Does she flinch or pull away if you stroke her muzzle? Dental pain is systemic. It sends bacteria into the bloodstream and causes chronic stress.
And that chronic physical stress extends to grooming too, because a Westie's coat requires significant maintenance, but the way you approach that process has to change.
It definitely does.
Because older skin physically changes, right?
Right.
It gets thinner, it loses elasticity, and it gets much more sensitive to pulling or those slicker brushes. Plus, just prolonged standing on a hard grooming table is incredibly taxing on aging joints.
Exactly. So groomers need to adapt just as much as owners do. They should use thick, non-slip mats on the tables, and they really need to offer the dog frequent breaks to sit down.
That makes total sense.
And if your dog has always tolerated grooming beautifully and suddenly starts snapping or trembling or resisting the brush, she's not suddenly deciding to be difficult.
Right.
She's communicating that she is physically uncomfortable. You also need to monitor their nails much more frequently.
Because they aren't walking as much.
Exactly. Reduced activity means those nails aren't wearing down naturally on the concrete sidewalks anymore. And when nails get too long, they push the dog's toes up, which physically alters the biomechanics of how the foot strikes the ground.
Wow, just from long nails.
Yes. It forces them to rock back on their heels, causing structural pain all the way up their legs to their spine.
Man, everything is connected. A long nail causes a sore spine, which causes a dog to stop walking, which causes muscle loss.
Exactly. It's a chain reaction.
Okay, so physical decline is one thing. But what happens when their actual perception of the world starts to fade? Senses like vision and hearing dull, and this leads to some of the most deeply misunderstood behaviors in senior dogs.
This is where empathy becomes absolutely critical. Because Westies are already famous for having, selective hearing when they spot a squirrel.
Oh.
And because of that breed trait, it is terribly easy to misread genuine sensory loss. A dog might seem less responsive to cues, or they might startle aggressively when you reach down to pet them, simply because the high-frequency tones of your voice didn't register.
They literally didn't hear you walk up behind them.
Exactly.
Or like they hesitate at the top of the stairs at night because their retinas are deteriorating and they just can't distinguish the edge of the step in low light.
Yeah.
So is it possible that for years, owners have been labeling their senior dogs as grumpy or stubborn or antisocial, when in reality, the dog is just sitting in a dark, muffled world, unable to navigate and secretly in pain?
It happens constantly, and it's a tragic breakdown in communication. We project these complex human emotions like stubbornness onto them,
Right.
when biologically, they are just trying to navigate a physical environment that is becoming increasingly blurry and silent. But practical adjustments change their whole world.
Like, what can we do?
Approach your dog from the front where she can clearly see your hands. Don't constantly rearrange your living room furniture. Keep the layout consistent so she can rely on her mental map of the house even if her vision fades.
That's so smart.
And add extra night lights near the stairs and the water bowl to help with depth perception in the dark.
What about cognitive changes? Because when a senior dog starts pacing the hallways at 2 a.m., or staring at walls, or seems generally disoriented, the immediate terrifying thought is canine dementia.
Yeah, cognitive dysfunction syndrome does happen in dogs, and it is heartbreaking. You might see dramatic sleep cycle changes, aimless pacing, or severe separation anxiety.
Right.
But this raises an important question. Is it actually neurological cognitive decline? Or is it a physical ailment masquerading as dementia?
Wait, like what?
Let's look at a urinary tract infection, for example. As dogs age, their bladders lose elasticity. A UTI causes a sudden burning urge to urinate in the middle of the night. The dog doesn't understand the pain. She just knows she's deeply uncomfortable and urgently needs relief. So she paces the hallway. You wake up, see her wandering aimlessly in the dark, and assume she's lost her mind.
Oh, wow.
But she hasn't. She just has a biological urge she can't resolve. The same goes for digestive disease, or a terrible arthritis flare-up that prevents her from getting comfortable enough to sleep. You cannot self-diagnose dementia. It requires a comprehensive veterinary workup to rule out physical pain first.
Which ties directly into house soiling. Because a dog who has been perfectly house trained for a decade suddenly starts having accidents in the living room. People get frustrated, they feel guilty, they feel angry.
It is deeply distressing for everyone involved, but it must never, ever be punished.
Right.
House soiling in a senior dog is never a training failure, and it is never done out of spite. It is purely biological.
Right.
It can stem from mobility issues, like they feel the urge, but they literally cannot get their stiff hips up and navigate to the back door in time.
That is so sad to think about.
It is. It can also be a side effect of a new medication or a reduced cognitive ability to recognize the physical signal that their bladder is full. If you punish a dog for something they biologically cannot control, you're stripping away their dignity and just adding immense fear to their physical decline.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So navigating all these confusing physical, sensory, and behavioral changes clearly requires real, ongoing veterinary support.
Absolutely.
Older dogs need more frequent visits, especially to catch recurring Westie issues like skin allergies, chronic ear infections, and dental decay before they spiral. But leaning on a vet forces us to confront some very deeply ingrained misconceptions about pain and aging.
There are 4 major misconceptions that desperately need to be dismantled if we are going to care for senior dogs properly.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first is one we touched on earlier. The idea that a dog who isn't crying out or limping dramatically isn't in pain. We know this is false. The terrier's stoic nature means they suffer in silence.
Right.
A subtle shift in how they sit might be the only clue you get that their hips are agonizing.
Okay, and the second misconception is that a cheerful, wagging dog can't possibly be uncomfortable, which I hear a lot.
Oh, all the time. But dogs are highly social pack animals. The evolutionary drive to greet a returning family member triggers a massive flood of endorphins and adrenaline.
Ah, so they power through it.
Yes. For the 30 seconds she's aggressively wagging her tail at the front door, her brain is actively suppressing her arthritis pain signals because social bonding takes priority.
Wow.
But once you sit down on the couch and that adrenaline fades, her pain returns and she collapses exhausted. Her bright, determined expression at the door doesn't prove she's comfortable the rest of the day.
That is wild. Okay, misconception 3. Significant weight loss is just a natural, expected part of getting old.
Natural aging does involve some muscle loss, yes, but genuine unexplained weight loss is a glaring symptom of a systemic medical issue, like failing kidneys, liver disease, or severe dental infection.
Yeah.
It is not just old age, and it requires immediate blood work to find the root cause.
And the fourth misconception. One hard day means her quality of life is permanently gone. Or conversely, one good playful afternoon means everything is totally fine and she's cured.
Right. Quality of life is never about single, isolated moments.
Hmm.
It is always about observing patterns over an extended period of time. You will have days where she plays like a puppy and days where she doesn't want to get out of bed. The trend line is what matters.
So, what does this all mean for pain management? Because I know owners who actively resist giving their older dog prescription pain medication.
I see it a lot.
Yeah, they worry, like, if I give her these anti-inflammatories, she'll feel too good. She won't realize she's injured. She'll jump off the high deck to chase a squirrel, and she'll destroy her joint completely.
Yeah.
Is preventing overexertion a valid biological reason to withhold pain meds?
It is an incredibly common fear,
Yeah.
but the medical consensus is clear. No. Managing a dog's comfort is not an optional luxury. It is a core, fundamental part of their medical treatment. You aren't just hiding the problem with medication. Untreated pain causes systemic physiological stress. It raises cortisol levels, it depresses the immune system, it reduces their ability to heal, and it destroys their psychological quality of life.
So what do you do about them overexerting themselves?
The solution to preventing overexertion is not to force the dog to suffer so much pain that they are physically trapped in their bed. The solution is to treat the pain so they are comfortable, and then you step up and manage their physical environment.
Oh, okay.
You put them on a leash in the backyard so they can't chase the squirrel. You block off the steep stairs. You manage the environment, not the pain level.
You manage the environment, not the pain level. That is a brilliant rule to live by. And it really brings us back to the holistic view of the dog's life and honestly the most profound responsibility you hold.
It does. Ultimately, senior care evolves into an ongoing, fluid conversation about her quality of life. It's a daily evaluation of her pain levels, her breathing, her appetite, her mobility, her sleep patterns, and her desire to connect with you. Having this honest conversation with your veterinarian before a catastrophic crisis hits isn't giving up on your dog. It is the most caring, proactive, and responsible thing you can do for an animal that has trusted you her entire life.
Good senior care isn't usually found in dramatic, expensive medical interventions. It's really found in the quiet, everyday decisions.
Yes.
It's taking the time to lay down those grippy yoga mats on the slick hardwood floor. It's taking the shorter, slower route to the park so she can still investigate that beloved hedge without exhausting her joints.
Exactly.
It's letting her settle comfortably on a floor-level bed with the family rather than forcing her into the other room. It's about showing up with patience for the final chapters, not just the energetic puppy years.
And, managing all of these changing variables,
Yeah.
the health records, the new dietary routines, the schedule for daily medications can get really overwhelming.
Oh, for sure.
Keeping all of this organized with a tool like the VitalPet app can be incredibly helpful for tracking these subtle behavioral and physical trends over time, so you have accurate data to give your vet. And as always, this deep dive is for educational purposes. If you observe any of these behavioral shifts or have concerns about your dog's health, you must consult your veterinarian directly for a proper diagnosis.
Always. But we've covered a massive amount of ground today, from the physics of slippery floors and muscle loss, to the biology of the weight illusion and the empathy required to understand fading senses.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
We spend so much energy thinking about how to adapt our homes and our routines to keep our dogs comfortable as they age. But maybe going through this deeply intimate process, learning to intentionally slow down our own pace, learning to value quiet comfort over high performance, learning to find genuine, profound joy in a much shorter walk is actually our dog's final way of teaching us. They're giving us a master class in how to handle the inevitable aging of the humans we love, and eventually how to handle the aging of ourselves with just a little more grace, patience, and compassion.
What a wonderful way to look at it. From the careful steps in the quiet morning kitchen right to the very end. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.